You didn't fail because you weren't smart enough. You didn't fail because the market was against you. You didn't fail because of bad luck, bad timing, or bad people around you. You failed, and you are still failing because of something so quiet, so invisible, so perfectly disguised as a rational thought that you never even noticed it was killing you. And the terrifying part is happening right now. While you watch this video, while you plan your next move, while you tell yourself you're almost ready, it is happening right now. And if you don't name it today, if you don't drag it out of the dark and look it in the eye, it will take the next 5 years of your life silently, painlessly, without a single warning. Stay with me. I want you to think about someone you know, not a celebrity, not some billionaire on a podcast, someone real, someone from your actual life, someone who had the idea first, someone who was talking about starting the business before anyone else was, someone who was reading the books, watching the videos, building the vision in their head long before the people who actually did it ever even thought about trying. You know that person. Maybe that person is you. And here's what's haunting. That person was not lazier than the ones who made it. They were not less intelligent. They did not have fewer resources. In some cases, they had more knowledge, more time, more raw potential sitting untouched like a weapon locked in a case. So what happened? What is the thing that separates the person who has everything they need from the person who actually builds everything they dream? It is not motivation. Motivation is a myth. It comes and goes like weather. It is not discipline in the traditional sense. It is not even fear of failure. Most high achievers run straight into failure. Fear of failure never stopped the best ones. The thing that kills silent potential, the thing that destroys futures before they even begin, is something I call comfortable incompletion. Say that again with me in your head. Comfortable incompletion. It is the state of being perfectly at peace with not finishing. It is the ability to feel like you are working, like you are progressing, like you are in motion, while producing absolutely nothing that changes your life. Busy is not the same as building, and that one distinction, that one line, has separated more winners from losers than talent ever has. We are going to go deep today, deeper than you are comfortable with, because comfort is exactly the problem, and I refuse to add to it. How it gets in without you noticing. Let me paint you a picture, a real one. It is 7:14 in the morning. You wake up before your alarm, which almost never happens, and for about 6 seconds you feel it. That electric, dangerous feeling of possibility, like something important is about to begin. You lie there in the dark and the vision is so clear it almost hurts. You can see the business, you can see the life, you can feel what it would feel like to actually be there. And then slowly, surgically, your brain begins to negotiate. It starts small. You should probably eat something first. You think better when you've eaten, so you eat. Then it's, let me just check messages, make sure nothing urgent came in overnight, so you check. And then before you can even explain how it happened, it is 10:47 in the morning, and you have accomplished the feeling of productivity without a single brick having been laid. This is not a willpower failure. This is a system failure. And the system was designed by the most sophisticated saboteur you will ever face, your own comfort-seeking brain. Here is the biology no one tells you about. Your brain does not want you to succeed. I mean that literally. Your brain's primary directive is not achievement. It is survival. And survival means energy conservation. It means threat avoidance. It means staying in the known, the safe, the familiar. And here's the brutal truth. Your comfort zone feels like wisdom. It doesn't feel like fear. It doesn't announce itself as cowardice. It shows up dressed as logic. It says things like, I should research more before I launch. Now is not the right time. I need to make sure everything is perfect first. I don't want to embarrass myself by starting before I'm ready. And every single one of those thoughts sounds reasonable. They sound mature. They sound like the thoughts of someone who is being strategic. But they are not strategy. They are surrender dressed in a suit. Ask yourself something right now, and I want you to be honest in a way that might be uncomfortable. How long have you been preparing? How many months or years have you been in the phase before the phase? How many notebooks have you filled with plans that have never met the real world? Because there is a version of you that has been getting ready to live your actual life for years. And that version of you is not lazy. That is what makes this so dangerous. That version of you reads, studies, watches, plans, refines. They feel productive because the process of preparation mimics the feeling of progress. Preparation without execution is just procrastination with a better outfit. And here is where it gets dark. Here is the part people cannot handle. The longer you stay in comfortable incompletion, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because the work gets harder, but because the identity gets thicker. You begin to build a self-concept around being the person who is about to do something great. And that identity is warm. It is comfortable. It gives you status in your own mind without requiring any of the risk of the real world. You become addicted to potential. And potential, untested, unlaunched, unproven potential, is the most comfortable drug on earth. It never disappoints you. It never fails publicly. It never gets rejected. It just stays there, glowing in the future like a promise you made to yourself that you never quite had to keep. Until one day you look up and 5 years have passed, and the person you told yourself you were going to become is still 5 years away. That is the kill. That is how it happens. Slowly, silently, politely, and always with your full permission. It doesn't look like what you think. I need you to stop thinking about this as a simple problem, because comfortable incompletion is not one thing. It wears 5 different faces, and you need to be able to recognize every single one of them, because the one you can't name is the one that will take you down. Face 1, the researcher. The researcher is the person who is always learning but never doing. They have read every book. They have taken every course. They have listened to every podcast. They know more about their field than most people who are actually operating in it, and they use that knowledge as a shield. Because as long as you are still learning, you have a legitimate reason not to be executing. You cannot be judged for your output when you are technically still in the input phase. The researcher lives in the input phase permanently. How do you know if this is you? Ask yourself, what is the last thing you learned that you immediately applied to the real world? Not thought about applying, not planned to apply, actually deployed, tested, received feedback on, and iterated? If you have to think hard about that answer, the researcher lives in you. Phase 2, the optimizer. This one is subtle and devastating. The optimizer cannot start until it is perfect. They spend 3 weeks choosing a logo. They rewrite their website copy 14 times. They restructure the business plan based on every new piece of information they encounter. They are always improving the thing that has not yet begun. Here is the truth about optimization. You cannot optimize what you have not launched. Real optimization happens in the market. It happens in the feedback loop between your product and actual human beings. It does not happen in your head, in a vacuum, in a spreadsheet, in a vision board. The optimizer is not making things better. They are making the illusion of safety. Perfect is the most expensive word in the entrepreneur's vocabulary. Phase 3, the networker. The networker is always connecting, always at the event, always on the call, always building relationships that will eventually lead to opportunity. And I'm not saying networking is wrong. Relationships matter. But there is a specific kind of person who uses social connection as a substitute for individual output. They're always talking about what they're doing, but never actually doing it. They're always meeting the person who could help them, but never being the person who is ready to be helped. If you removed every networking event, every coffee meeting, and every collaborative call from your week, would there be anything left, any actual work product, any creation, any output? If that question made you uncomfortable, sit with it. Phase 4, the planner. The planner lives in Notion. They live in spreadsheets, in whiteboards, in elaborate systems for organizing the work they are not yet doing. Their organizational structure is magnificent. Their execution is absent. Planning is necessary. Systems are necessary. But there is a phase transition that must happen, a moment where the plan becomes the map and you actually start walking. You cannot eat the map. You cannot live in the plan. At some point, the plan has to end and the doing has to begin. You don't need a better plan. You need to start the bad one you already have. Phase 5, the dreamer who won't wake up. This one hurts the most to say, because the dreamer is the most inspiring version of comfortable incompletion. They have the biggest vision, the most compelling story, the most magnetic energy when they talk about what they are building. But the dream is always in the future. It is always almost here. There is always one more thing that needs to happen before it can become real. The dreamer has been almost there for years. And the saddest part, the world loves a dreamer. It is easy to be loved for a dream because a dream cannot be judged. A dream cannot fail. A dream is pure and clean and limitless. But a dream that never launches is just a really detailed fantasy. Look at these 5 faces, all 5 of them, not defensively, not to identify which one you are not, but to find the one you are. because everyone in this audience is at least one of them. And the people who will change after watching this are the ones willing to admit which face they see when they look in the mirror. Real quick, if this is hitting you somewhere true, if something in the last 12 minutes has landed in a way that feels uncomfortably accurate, hit subscribe, not for me. For the version of you that shows up here every week and decides to stay in the fight. And drop in the comments which of the 5 faces is yours: the researcher, the optimizer, the networker, the planner, the dreamer, name it. That's the first move. Now let's keep going, because we haven't gotten to the part that will actually change you yet. 5 rules for ruthless execution. This section is not theory. I do not care why this works. I do not want you to understand it intellectually. I want you to use it. Starting today, starting the moment this video ends, these are rules, not suggestions, not frameworks, rules. And rules have consequences when you break them. Rule 1, the 48-hour death rule. Command: any idea that is not acted upon within 48 hours gets killed permanently. Reality check: you have a mental library of ideas you told yourself you would get back to. You will not get back to them. They are already dead. The moment you let an idea sit without contact for more than 48 hours, your brain reclassifies it from thing I am doing to thing I once thought about. And things you once thought about never get done. Immediate action right now, before this video ends. Open a note and write down the one idea you have been sitting on the longest. Then write one physical action you will take within the next 24 hours that is not thinking, not planning, not researching, an action with an output that exists in the real world: an email sent, a page written, a product listed, a call made. If you cannot identify a concrete action, the idea is not ready. Kill it and make space for something that is. Dead ideas are not failures. Kept dead ideas are. Rule 2, the identity inversion. Command: stop saying I am going to. Start saying I am. Reality check: language is not decoration. Language is architecture. The words you use to describe yourself are literally building the structure of who you become. Every time you say, I am going to start a business, you are building an identity of someone who is about to do something. And about to has no arrival date. About to is a permanent holding pattern with excellent lighting. The moment you say, I am building a business, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it feels like a lie, you have changed the contract with yourself. You are no longer describing a future self. You are claiming a present identity. And present identities require present action to remain coherent. Immediate action: change the way you introduce yourself, not to other people, to yourself. Write down 3 I am statements about who you are right now in this process, not aspirationally, right now. I am a person who ships before perfect. I am someone who executes daily. I am building something real. Say it until it stops feeling like a lie. That discomfort is the gap between who you have been and who you are choosing to become. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your identity. Rule 3, the sacred hour. Command: the first hour of your day belongs to your most important work. No exceptions, no negotiations. Reality check: every morning you spend reacting is a morning you are working for someone else's priorities. Email is someone else's agenda. Social media is someone else's content. News is someone else's narrative. And if you start your day absorbing all of that before you have produced anything, you have already given away the most cognitively powerful window you have. The first hour after you wake up, your prefrontal cortex is most active. Your willpower reserves are full. Your creative capacity is at its peak. On their phone! That is not a small mistake. That is architectural self-sabotage. Immediate action: set a rule starting tomorrow that your phone does not exist for the first 60 minutes of your day. No exceptions. This means you do not check it before bed knowing you will check it first thing. You structure the environment so that the sacred hour is protected before your brain has a chance to negotiate. Do your most important work first, not second, not after coffee and emails and checking in. First, the quality of your first hour determines the quality of your entire day, and the quality of your days determines the quality of your life. Your morning belongs to your mission. Stop renting it out. Rule 4, the public ledger. Command: make your commitments visible to at least one other person who will hold you to them. Reality check: private goals die private deaths. There is no accountability in the silence of your own mind. Your brain is your co-conspirator in the art of comfortable incompletion. It will help you rationalize every delay, every pivot, every "I'll do it tomorrow," because it does not want you to feel the discomfort of judgment. But human beings are deeply social creatures. The fear of looking inconsistent, unreliable, or uncommitted in front of others is one of the most powerful behavioral levers we have. Most people avoid using it because it requires vulnerability. It requires saying out loud what you are building before you know if it will work. That vulnerability is not weakness. That vulnerability is the tax you pay for accountability. Immediate action today, not this week, today. Tell one specific person, one specific thing you are committing to completing by one specific date. Do not make it vague. I am going to work on my business this week is not a commitment. That is a wish. A commitment sounds like by next Friday, I will have the first chapter written, the first product listed, the first email sent, the first version launched. Specific, dated, witness. No one held accountable in private ever changed in public. Rule 5, the output audit. Command, at the end of every day, audit your outputs, not your inputs, not your effort, not your hours, your outputs. Reality check. We are excellent at measuring how hard we tried. We are terrible at measuring what we actually produced. And the market does not care how hard you tried. The market cares what you ship. Most people end their day feeling productive because they were busy, they were in meetings, they did research, they answered messages, they worked through lunch. And yet when they sit down and ask, what exists now that did not exist this morning? The answer is terrifyingly often nothing. Immediate action starting tonight. Keep a daily output log, not a to-do list, a done-it list. Every day, write down what you produced, a piece of content, a product iteration, a system built, a decision made and documented, a relationship initiated with a concrete purpose. If 3 days go by and your output log is empty, you are living in comfortable incompletion. And now you cannot pretend otherwise because the evidence is in writing. You cannot lie to a ledger. Your effort means nothing. Your output means everything. What this silence will actually take from you. I want to take a turn here because so far I've been talking about strategy and systems and tools, and those things matter. But I think there is something more important that needs to be said. I want to talk about cost, not the cost of failure, not the cost of rejection, the cost of continuing exactly as you are, the cost of staying in comfortable incompletion for another year, another 5 years. Because here's what nobody tells you. The price of not trying is not neutrality. It is not nothing. The price of not trying is slow, compounding psychological damage that you will spend the rest of your life trying to explain away. Let me show you what I mean. Picture this. It is late on a Tuesday night. You are 41 years old, or 35, or 52. The number doesn't matter. And you are lying in bed, not quite asleep, scrolling through your phone, not because there is anything there, but because the silence is too loud. And in that silence, underneath the scroll, underneath the comfortable noise, there is a thought that keeps rising to the surface no matter how many times you push it down. What if I had actually done it? Not, I wonder what would have happened. Not a casual curiosity, but a full-body, visceral, relentless question that has been getting louder every single year. What if I had launched the business when I was 28 and had nothing to lose? What if I had shipped the creative work before I decided it needed to be better? What if I had made the scary call, sent the cold email, taken the leap? What would life look like right now? That question is not motivational. By that point, it is haunting. And the haunting is the tax for every year spent in comfortable incompletion. The tax paid not in money, not in time, but in the most private, untransferable currency we have, regret. I've spoken to people in their 60s who cry, genuinely cry, not because they tried and failed, but because they never found out. They never gave the thing a real shot. They kept it safely in the realm of potential, and they will go to their graves never knowing what they were actually made of. That is not a metaphor. That is a real person's life. And it is being written right now quietly in the daily decisions of everyone who chooses comfort over creation. Ask yourself honestly and be brutal with yourself, because I am being brutal with you out of respect. What are you protecting by staying where you are? Because you are protecting something. Comfortable incompletion always serves a function. It is not random. It is a choice being made beneath the level of your conscious awareness. And that choice is protecting something: your ego from the possibility of public failure, your image from the possibility of looking foolish, your narrative from the threat of being tested and found wanting. But here's the trade you are making without fully acknowledging it. You are trading the possibility of failure, which is temporary, which is survivable, which is instructive, for the certainty of regret, which is permanent, which cannot be undone, which compounds like debt in the background of every year you let pass. You can recover from failure. You cannot recover from never trying. There is another cost that is less dramatic but equally real, and it is the cost to the people around you. When you shrink, when you stay small, when you operate at a fraction of your capacity, the people who look up to you learn from that. Your children watch how you handle your ambitions and your fears. They learn whether courage is something you practice or just something you admire. Your friends take subconscious inventory of what is possible by watching what you do. Your potential is not just yours. Your potential carries people. And when you suppress it, when you manage it down into something manageable and safe and comfortable, you are not just costing yourself. You are modeling smallness for everyone in your orbit. That is a weight worth feeling. Not to punish yourself, but to understand that this is not a private decision. Playing small is never a private decision. Your ceiling is someone else's floor. Act accordingly. How you break the pattern permanently. I am not going to give you a gentle landing here. I am not going to end this with something that makes you feel good about where you are. Because where you are is not where you need to be. And I think you already know that what I am going to give you is a war plan. Not a goal-setting exercise, not an affirmation. A war plan for the next 30 days that, if you execute it with even 70 upward consistency, will produce more real-world momentum than the last year of your life. Here is the architecture. Week 1 is about destruction, not creation, destruction. You need to destroy the narrative that has been keeping you comfortable, the narrative that says you are almost ready, the narrative that says the timing is not quite right, the narrative that says you need more before you can begin. This week you find the one project, not 5, not 3, one, that you have been sitting on the longest, the one that has been in your head or your drafts or your notes the longest without making contact with the real world. And you give it 30 days of focused, relentless, non-negotiable daily contact, not massive action. Daily contact. Because momentum is not built in bursts. It is built in consistent, small, daily acts of commitment that compound into unstoppable motion. Week 1, you do not worry about the result. You do not worry about whether it is good. You just make the thing exist. You write the first draft. You build the first version. You send the first email. You make the first post. You have the first conversation. The first version is not for the world. It is for you. It is evidence that you are the kind of person who start ugly, start scared, start anyway. Week 2 is about exposure. Once you have something, even a rough, imperfect, barely formed something, you show it to someone, not your most supportive friend who will tell you it is brilliant, someone who will give you real feedback, someone who has standing in the space you are entering. This is the most uncomfortable step. This is the step that comfortable incompletion is specifically designed to prevent, because the moment something leaves your hands and enters someone else's perception, it becomes real. It can be judged. It can be criticized. It can fall short. And that is exactly why you must do it. Because feedback, even harsh feedback, even devastating feedback, is information. And information is the only thing that will make what you are building better. Your comfort zone has no feedback loop. Nothing in your head has ever been improved by staying in your head. The discomfort of exposure is the price of improvement. Pay it. Week 3 is about doubling. Whatever output you produced in week 1, double it in week 3. Not the quality, the quantity of action. If you wrote 1 page a day, write 2. If you made 1 sales call, make 2. If you published 1 piece of content, publish 2. This is where most people lose the battle, because by week 3, the initial excitement has faded. The dopamine hit of starting has worn off. The work feels like work, and your brain will begin negotiating again, suggesting breaks, pivots, recalibrations. This is the most critical moment in the entire 30 days. This is the moment where the people who win and the people who lose diverge. The people who lose listen to the negotiation. The people who win recognize it for what it is: biological comfort seeking dressed up as strategic thinking. And they do the work anyway. Discipline is choosing your future over your feelings. Every single day. Week 4 is about identity consolidation. By week 4, you have produced more real-world output in 3 weeks than you may have produced in the last year. And that output is beginning to do something important. It is rewriting your self-concept. It is replacing the identity of someone who is about to with the evidence of someone who does. This week, you sit down and you write the answer to this question. Based on what I have done in the last 21 days, who am I becoming? Not who you want to be, who you are becoming. Based on evidence, based on action, based on what you have actually produced, that document becomes your North Star for the next 90 days. It is not written in aspiration. It is written in evidence. And evidence-based identity is the most durable kind. It cannot be argued with by the comfort-seeking voice in your head. It is not opinion. It is documented fact. I want to say one more thing before we close. And this is the thing I most want to land. The silent success killer is not laziness. It is not lack of ability. It is not bad luck or bad timing or the wrong environment. It is the seductive, perfectly designed lie that you are safe in the waiting, that the preparation is productive, that the planning is progress, that staying in the dream protects the dream. It does not protect the dream. It consumes it slowly, silently, over years, until the dream becomes a memory of a feeling you used to have when you were younger and still believed. You are not here to believe. You are here to build. And the difference between believing and building is one terrifying, imperfect, uncomfortable step into the real world. Take it. The gap between who you are and who you could be is exactly one decision wide. We have been in this together for 30 minutes, and I know some of what I said today landed hard. I know some of it named something that you have been working very hard not to look at directly. Good. That discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something in you is awake, and that something has been awake for a long time, watching, waiting, hoping that one day you would stop negotiating with your potential and actually answer its call. This is that day. It does not have to be dramatic. It does not have to feel like a movie moment. The most important first steps rarely do. They are small, uncomfortable, unglamorous actions taken by people who are scared and do it anyway. You are not waiting for the right moment. The right moment is not a feeling. The right moment is a decision. And you can make that decision in the next 60 seconds. What is the one thing, the one project, the one call, the one creation that you have been sitting on the longest? Name it, write it down, and commit right now to making contact with it before the sun goes down today, not tomorrow. Today, because tomorrow is where dreams retire. And you did not come this far to retire. The people who change the world are not the smartest or the most gifted or the most resourced. They are the ones who showed up when it was uncomfortable, who created when they felt uncertain, who launched before they felt ready, who refused day after grinding, unglamorous day to let comfortable incompletion win. That can be you. That is you. The moment you decide it is, your mindset is your most powerful weapon. Now go use it.